Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Disparate Post Ireland. I am your host, Frank Lennon, coming to you from the fair city of Dublin. Dublin's beautiful Phoenix Park is a treasure trove of historic, architectural, botanic and fauna aspects. In this, what is hopefully the first in a series of short videos on the emerald jewel which is the Phoenix Park, we will be taking a look at one example of the park's architectural delights and one example of its many wetlands. Nestling in semi-seclusion in a shaded setback location along the park's North Road, facing towards Ashtown Castle Domain, is Constable's Lodge. This elegant dwelling, also known to many as the Concrete Lodge, catches visitors by pleasant surprise as it reveals itself. The delightful Disney-esque dormer-style dwelling was built in 1872 to a design by architect Enoch T. Owen, 1833-1881. E. T. Owen also either designed exclusively or collaborated with other architects in the design of the following notable elements of our landscape of Irish architecture. In 1850, the now former Garda station in Monaghan. Again in 1850, the chapel at St. Mary's Hospital in the Phoenix Park. In 1863, St. Finian's Lutheran Church on Adelaide Road in Dublin. In 1866, the Public Records Office as part of the Four Courts in Dublin, and in 1876 the Post Office in Waterford. There are many more beautifully designed, unique lodges in Dublin's Phoenix Park. These historic lodges are currently in the careful caretakership of Office of Public Works Phoenix Park employees and their families. We will encounter more such lodges in future episodes. There are many tranquil wetlands in Dublin's Phoenix Park. These oases of natural beauty come bedecked with waterborne flora, visiting and resident waterfowl, and of course, magnificent trees which stand as silent sentinels of ages around the periphery, bearing witness to the ever-unfolding magic of the wetland natural habitat. However, although we are privileged to see much of the fascinating wildlife which inhabits the park's wetlands, there are nonetheless inhabitants which we never see, except that is, for maybe an occasional fleeting shadow. Such inhabitants, of course, would be the aquatic life, which we are assured thrive in the substantive bodies of water which lend primary shape to the park's wetlands. So, what aquatic creatures typically dwell within the depths of the park's wetland ponds? A surprising number of coarse fish species. Let's take a look. Our first aquatic resident is the rudd. The rudd, or common rudd, can be found in many parts of Europe. However, it was artificially introduced into Ireland. Rudd in many locations is considered to be, quote-unquote, an invasive species, which in many instances was, quote-unquote, illegally introduced. Characteristic of this species, and a defining mark by which it can be distinguished, is its eye colour, which is yellow. The skin of the rudd is typically yellowish-green in colour. The rudd's upturned mouth allows it to feed easily at the top of the water. Rudd can grow in length to between 45 and 50 centimetres, or between approximately 17.5 and 19.5 inches. The length of an average fish of this species would be 25 centimetres, or approximately 10 inches. Rudd prefer a clear, non-acidic water environment and consume both aquatic vegetation at depth and living prey close to the surface of the water. Females typically lay 200,000 eggs on submerged vegetation, and this species' lifespan has been noted as 17 years. Our second aquatic resident is the perch. Perch, mainly a freshwater game fish, has 3 different species, one of which, known as the red drum, is actually a saltwater dweller. Perch can be found extensively both in Europe, Asia, the United States and Canada. Perch, which have a long and rounded body with rough scales, are carnivorous and most commonly can be found in ponds, lakes, streams and rivers. Perch grow to around 50 centimeters in length, or approximately 9.5 inches. However, most fish of this species landed are found to be 30 centimeters in length, or approximately 11.75 inches. The female lays her eggs in covered areas near branches or near underwater plants. The perch, in a protected environment, can live for 22 years. Our third aquatic resident is the tench. The tench, also known as doctorfish, is found in both Eurasia and Western Europe. Tench survive equally well both in fresh and brackish still water. Being nocturnal feeders, their diet includes snails, pea clams and midges. Being carp-like in shape, they are readily identified by their olive green skin. Tench can grow to a maximum length of 70 centimeters or 27.5 inches. However, most are much shorter. Male tench also are typically smaller than females. The term doctorfish is intriguing. So, how did such a description originate? Well, tench can be as slippery as an eel, with their skin generating a slime-like substance. It is said that tench skin slime can cure any sick fish which may happen to rub against it. Tench spawning requires warm water, that is typically between 18 to 24 degrees centigrade. So midsummer would be their reproducing time. A healthy female will typically produce 300,000 to 400,000 eggs, which she will deposit in beds of thick, soft weed and algae, or on marginal vegetation. The tench can live for between 12 and 15 years. Our fourth aquatic resident is the roach. The roach can be found both in Europe and in Western Asia. Like the tench, the roach can also tolerate both fresh and brackish water as habitat. The average length of this species would be 35 centimeters or approximately 13.75 inches. Its maximum length would be between 45 and 50 centimeters or between approximately 17.75 inches and 19.75 inches. Roach are typically characterized by a bluish silvery color and white belly. Another identifying characteristic would be a big red spot in the eye iris, above and beside the pupil. The diet of this species is comprised of plant material, bottom-dwelling invertebrates, worms and maggots. However, young roach feed mostly on plankton. Roach spawning is triggered by warming water temperatures. A female can lay up to 100,000 eggs. The lifespan of a roach is typically 15 years. Our fifth aquatic resident is the tree-spined stickleback. Sticklebacks are both ocean and freshwater dwellers. The freshwater variety can be found both in Europe, in Asia, and in North America. Being carnivorous, sticklebacks feed on insects, crustaceans, and fish larvae. Two defining characteristics of the stickleback are 3 spines and their, unusual for fish, lack of scales. Sticklebacks are relatively tiny fish of maximum length 10 centimeters, or approximately 4 inches. Typically, however, a majority would be no more than 7.5 centimeters, or approximately 3 inches. The female tends to lay several hundred eggs dispersed over several nesting sites over a period of days. The lifespan of the stickleback in the wild is not known. However, in captivity, this species has been known to live for between 7 and 8 years. Our sixth aquatic resident is none other than the humble and near ubiquitous goldfish. Viewers may be surprised to know that the goldfish is actually a small member of the carp family. Viewers may also wonder how goldfish might have ended up as inhabitants within Dublin's Phoenix Park wetlands. Well, let's put it this way. Their forebears were likely rehomed aquarium fish. Goldfish, native to East Asia, were first bred in China at least 1,000 years ago, and several distinct breeds later resulted. Because of the special breeding, goldfish vary greatly in both size and shape. Typical goldfish acquired as pets, and depending upon the size of their aquatic environment, may grow in length to between 10 and 18 centimeters, or approximately between 4 and 7 inches. Pond goldfish, on the other hand, may grow to lengths of 46 centimeters, or approximately 18 inches. Goldfish are omnivores, and as such will happily consume either plant and animal material or both. Goldfish begin to spawn in springtime and lay dozens of eggs in several releases. Eggs are released in batches in response to intermittent stimulation of the female by the male. Goldfish are long livers and can survive for several decades. There is one recorded instance of a goldfish having lived for 49 years. And our final aquatic resident is the North American shrimp. This handsome fellow, an immigrant, is present in all of Dublin's Phoenix Park wetlands. Unlike, however, his Irish counterpart, the native Irish shrimp, which is present only in the park's Khyber stream. The term shrimp or prawn are exchanged in common use to describe the same small crustacean with which we are familiar. Shrimp exists in a variety of both sizes and colours. Depending upon habitat, the shrimp can range in length from 30 millimeters, or approximately 1¼ inches, up to a significant 336 millimeters, or approximately 13¼ inches. It is likely that shrimp which dwell within Dublin's Phoenix Park wetlands are on the smaller end of the size range. Quite how the North American shrimp is so widespread in the park, and the native Irish version is restricted in habitat, is not known. Perhaps the native American shrimp can fly as well as swim. Who knows? So much for the wetland dwellers. I now invite viewers to accompany me on a relaxing stroll around the full periphery of the Phoenix Park's Machine Pond. The Machine Pond, a deep body of water, is situated adjacent to the park's Mount Joy roundabout. For safety reasons, there is no public access to this particular wetland. However, although, as can be seen here, a protective barrier railing exists along the complete periphery of the Machine Pond, views of surface wildlife are not in any way restricted. Park authorities regularly manage the pond's peripheral foliage so as to ensure also that visitor viewing is not impeded. Now, the good news and the bad news. As we have already seen, there is a rich variety of aquatic life in the Phoenix Park's wetlands. That's the good news. For freshwater fisher persons, and I'm being politically correct here, the bad news is that under Phoenix Park bylaws, Statutory Instrument number 6/1926, subsection 99, the following applies. No person shall bathe or fish in any waters in the park. So, possibly having disappointed some with that news, I will quieten down now and let you enjoy the remainder of the Machine Pond walk around. And so, as we near the conclusion of this episode of Disparate Post Ireland's Aspects of Dublin's Phoenix Park, there is a little more. Chesterfield Avenue, the main thoroughfare in Dublin's Phoenix Park, is 7.23 kilometres in length, or 4.49 miles. And that's a fact. Thank you so much for joining me on this occasion in looking at some aspects of Dublin's magnificent Phoenix Park. Hope to see you here again next time. So long for now.